Real estate marketing is do or die for every real estate agent because every business is made out of two things: getting clients and servicing clients. To serve the clients, you need to get the clients. Now, if you're watching this in 2022, right now the marketplace is incredibly low in inventory, which ultimately means for you that listing side is really going to be the place where the money is at. Now, ultimately right now, if you look at what most real estate agents, what other real estate agents are doing to generate listings, there's going to be two things where most real estate agents get their listings from. Number one is their sphere of influence, and number two is getting referrals, which really means for you that very few real estate agents know actually and are actually doing successful real estate marketing for the real estate services specifically, and really have to kind of rely on those two things, the sphere of influence and those referrals. Now, if that's you, that's not even necessarily your fault, because the training that most real estate brokerages teach to the real estate agents, specifically when it comes down to real estate marketing, is quite often maybe 10, 20 years behind the curve when it comes down to the stuff that's working the best right now today for listing generation. And so the issue is that it's also that there's just so much noise out there. So, when you go up and check out your email inbox, or you go out there and you check out your social media, you see these ads all the time about different lead generation services, different real estate marketing tactics, different CRMs, different tools, and so on and so forth. So it can be very difficult to discern, okay, is this just another little shiny object I'm gonna put into my business? Or is this something that's actually going to deliver me results? So it's going to be very difficult to discern those things, especially if you're not a real estate marketing expert, right? So the issue is, because of those reasons, a lot of times real estate agents, what they end up doing is just kind of copying what other real estate agents are doing, which results into kind of like copycat marketing that you kind of see right now today in the marketplace. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Pasi Poutanen. I'm founder of Notesu.io, and we work with over 230 real estate agents one-on-one when it comes down to generating 5 to 20 listing appointments per month from social media specifically. Now, we've had the luxury to analyze over thousands and thousands of profiles, thousands and thousands of marketing systems online, and had the luxury to also see the data behind that. And really what I want to do in this video is to get to the bottom of it all. So what actually matters, what actually works, what actually generates results, and to give you a crystal clear picture of what to do and what really not to do. Now, if we use the first principles thinking, which is a mental model popularized by Elon Musk that he uses in his companies like SpaceX and Tesla, you want to ask yourself the question that what is marketing? And ultimately, what does it mean to market your services as a real estate agent? Sure, we want to get more listing clients, right? But what does marketing have to do with it at its core? Well, at its core, marketing is about influencing people's behaviors and influencing people's decisions. So as an example, if a homeowner right now in your market doesn't even know that you exist, and then you do marketing successfully and you influence that person to decide like, okay, I'm going to hire this person as my real estate agent and then I'm signing the listing agreement with you. Well, at its core, that's marketing. That's psychology that goes into that process. So it's not really about fancy graphics, right? So the homeowner is not going to be like, wow, I saw this fancy graphic, I'm going to choose this real estate agent. It's not about having one little line or one little brand statement, and it's not about having a generic drip campaign from KV Core, obviously, right? It really goes down to the psychology of that overall process. So you may be thinking, okay, well, he's saying psychology, what it's about when it comes down to psychology, like how psychology is going to help me get more listings. Well, if you realize that the starting point of marketing your real estate services is about psychology and influencing those behaviors and influencing those decisions people make, and not about the surface level tactics, right? Not about the website, not about the graphics, not about any of those things most people are focused on, we're now able to focus in on the right things. We're able to focus in on the things that are going to be the actual signal, things that are going to be actually influencing those behaviors, things that are actually going to be influencing those decisions, and we can also discern the noise, those things that are actually not causing those things to shift. So let me pull up my computer. I'm going to dive into exactly and explain to you exactly how you can play into these psychological biases and ultimately how you can scale up your listing business. Let's dive right into this. So like we covered previously, relationships, sphere of influence, and referrals is the primary source for listings for most real estate agents. Now, real estate agents may do other types of marketing in addition to this, right? So people have drip campaigns, maybe KV core landing pages, maybe they try to run like Facebook ads themselves before. But really, when you look at the end of the year and you see the actual source of the actual listings signed, these are the two primary sources for actual listings for most real estate agents. And the reason why this is a problem is because most real estate agents, like we discussed, are accustomed to building relationships one-on-one, in person, right? So you may be doing some networking events here and there, friends and family events, or just meet up with them, past clients, and just striking up conversations with strangers. I know some people may go to restaurants, stuff like that as well. The reason why that's actually a problem is when you meet people one-on-one, obviously you get some results, right? You get some listings here and there, but you're limited by the number of interactions you can actually have, right? We have those biological chains. We can't talk to 1,000 people every single day. And you can really only meet so many people, even if you spend your entire day. You spend 10 hours a day, you're socializing, building your sphere of influence. At the end of the day, like how many people can you actually meet? Maybe 50, maybe 100, but that's about it. So since scaling your sphere of influence has its limits, well, what's going to be the solution? Well, you go from building relationships to building parasocial relationships online and virtually. So parasocial interactions, what they are is that this is a psychological phenomenon where the viewers come to consider online personalities as their friends despite having no real world interactions with them. So the viewers, in our case that's going to be homeowners, they're going to develop different feelings of intimacy, friendship, trusts, and really feeling of being directly connected to the persona as much as they're connected or even more than to their actual close friends. So a couple examples of this, you've probably seen Oprah, you've seen her on TV, you've seen her on social media, so on and so forth, and you're already familiar with this person. You know what she sounds like, a little bit about her values, maybe the car thing where she gives out the keys to cars and so on and so forth. So you have that connection point with her. Number two, everybody here probably is familiar with Uncle Grant, so Grant Cardone. You've probably seen him all over social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You've probably seen some of his events, 10X event. You probably heard his stories, about selling the fishes and so on and so forth, right? So we're familiar with these people, but have you actually talked to Grant Cardone personally, right? Well, maybe some of you have, but for most of you, you probably haven't talked to Grant personally. Same really applies to Oprah. I'm sure most of you haven't really talked to Oprah personally, but you are familiar with their stories, you're familiar with their personalities, and you really have that sense of trust, maybe even a sense of authority when it comes down to these people. So this is exactly what parasocial relationships are. These are relationships that you feel that you have because you've seen these people, you've feel like you've talked to these people, even though you have never met them personally. This can also be any random people you see maybe on your Facebook or maybe you see on your Instagram, right? You probably have a lot of people you see all over again on your Facebook and Instagram, but have never actually maybe even talked with them. Now, you may be thinking right now, well, Grant Cardone has millions of followers, or Oprah has the TV show, and so on and so forth. And you're completely right in that. So, of course, when you want to build a big nationwide brand and you want to build a, multi-million-dollar business, well, that's the case when that becomes relevant. But for us, the goal is not necessarily to become this nationwide large influencer brand, but rather, again, to remind you, our goal is to attract listings. So you don't need to become this huge media celebrity or to have your own TV show, any of these things to just build your business, just get some more listing appointments and listings and to scale your local listing generation business. So if you look at the averages, roughly 65% of the people out there are homeowners, and on average people move every 16 years. So if you're able to get in front of even 5,000 people consistently, that's already 203 people out there that are going to be selling their houses in the next 12 months. So of course, with marketing, we're not going to tap into 100% of that market share, but let's say you're able to tap into even 10%. Well, that means for you, that's already 20 listings out there waiting for you right now. If your average commission is, let's say, $10,000, which is pretty average right now in the US, according to average home prices, well, that's already $200,000 in your bank account from listing generation business. Now, this is not, of course, taking into account the buyer side, right? As we know, a lot of people are going to be moving up, downsizing, and so on and so forth. So we know that getting listings is a relationships-based business, and if this is how most agents build up their sphere of influence and relationships, meeting people one-on-one, and so on and so forth, well, it may take up to 10 years to build up a sphere of influence of 5,000 people. And just imagine what you have to do to keep up with the relationships with the traditional means. 5,000 birthdays a year, thousands of phone calls a year, thousands of coffee meets per year, and so on and so forth. So it's just beyond the scale of one-on-one when it comes down to the interactions to reach these numbers. And this is where leveraging these parasocial relationships building really comes into play. So here's you on the left, here's thousands of local homeowners on the right. Then the blue circle is what we call your second self. Now everyone has a second self. It's basically a virtual projection of your persona. And what you can do is to build up that persona in a way that sparks those parasocial relationships and makes thousands of local homeowners consider you their number one preference for real estate agents. Or you can build it in a way that makes you seem like just another real estate agent and end up getting forgotten. So this is an important distinction to make because you see all the time people on social media, sharing everything about themselves with really no strategy, no filters, talking about random things here and there. So one day they talk about Bitcoin, one day they talk about real estate, one day they talk about their dog, and then they share some funny pictures, maybe some memes here and there. And sometimes they have their automated little thing posting some articles. So most real estate agents don't actually have a thought out strategy for how they want to be perceived. And they aren't paying attention to how they need to be perceived so that people would just want to work with them naturally and list their house with them. And that generally leads people to just post some random real estate statistics or, again, just sold, just listed type of posts. And so the issue is that very few people actually know how to communicate in a way that's going to actually spark these parasocial relationships phenomenon, which is required to start getting new listing clients. So if people don't feel like they trust you and almost like consider you to be their friend, like we discussed earlier, despite not ever meeting you personally, you're leaving 99% of the results on the table. So as you can see, for most real estate agents, their second self is being perceived maybe as a real estate agent that's trying to sell them a house, or maybe that's kind of like a person who just shares advertising, shares local market updates, statistics, things like that. Ultimately, this is fine, right? I'm not saying this doesn't ever work, but the issue is it doesn't really trigger that parasocial phenomena where the homeowner thinks that you're their friend even before even meeting them personally. So how do you actually trigger and how do you actually build these parasocial relationships online? Well, here's a couple examples from one of our clients, Zach Coops. He's a real estate agent in Virginia, and you can see the posting style is completely different from the posts you saw before. So you can see here, these are actually posts you would actually see organically. You would just kind of see this from your friends or maybe even see this from your family members that just kind of blend into the social media platforms. And what you kind of notice as well is that psychologically this triggers a couple different things. Number one is when people see you in a natural environment, you see her in the middle, he's playing shuffleboard. Well, that triggers that relatable response, right? You might be, oh, I've played in this place before as well, or oh, this is that place as was before as well, right? Or I've played shuffleboard before. Here on the right, you can kind of see him on the drinks with his wife. Here on the left, you can kind of see him helping out the local homeowners as well when it comes down to the real estate transaction. So the posting style here that you see is not this like advertising, salesy type of posts, but rather the goal here is like it's very personable, likable, and actually most importantly relatable, which ultimately results into that feeling of trust, but most importantly results in the feeling of knowingness. Like you can actually relate to this person that you can see over here. And what resulted in Zach, so we work with him right now for a little bit over a couple of years, and right now he doesn't live in this big metropolitan area. He lives in a pretty small city called Harrisonburg. I think there's around 50,000 people there, and almost always when he goes to a shop or he is going to a restaurant or anything like that, quite often he gets recognized on the street, right? Oh, you're Zach Coops, I've seen you, on my Facebook feed and so on and so forth. And of course that's nice, but that has also resulted into 50% increase in his business over the course of the year. And most importantly, like we discussed earlier, like this is actual listing. So Zach is a listing agent primarily, and most of his business has come from working with listings, so actual homeowners in his market. So this is exactly how Zach was able to scale beyond his sphere of influence using these parasocial relationships. So there's actually 4 different content types you can use right now today on your social media to build these parasocial relationships and to position yourself as the number one choice for a real estate agent in the homeowner's mind. And like we discussed at the beginning of the video, we've had the luxury to test out thousands and thousands of these posts. We have all the data when it comes down to click-through rates, engagement rates, and things like that. So this document I actually just created for you for this video. You can get this document for free where we show you exactly how to leverage these content types, the best performing ones, and how you can actually write one for yourself right now today, post it on your social media, and see the results for yourself. So if you want those, just comment Parasocial under this video. So Parasocial under this video, comment that, and we'll send that over for you for free. So again, Parasocial under this video, leave that as a comment, and you'll get that 100% for free. So for implementing these strategies specifically, there's a couple of nuances you want to take into account. Number one nuance is that you want to create your content yourself. So your voice, your personality, appearance, gestures, values, and beliefs, they must come through your content. And without self-disclosure, this effect won't arise. Just think about if Grant Cardone had generic automated posts on his social media. Like, he would not have millions and millions of followers. He would not get those people to actually know him, right? You have never seen a automated article or automated statistics and be like, oh, I know this person, right? I'm gonna do business with them, right? That has never happened before. So the same applies for this case. So you want to create your content yourself, but you want to create it in a very specific way, kind of like how we talked about earlier. So oftentimes people ask me, well, should I use Facebook? Should I use Instagram? Should I use LinkedIn? Should I use TikTok? Should I use YouTube? And so on and so forth, right? So which platform should I focus on? And the biggest mistake you can really make when it comes down to selecting a platform is either selecting the wrong platform, where there's really no actual homeowners on that platform, or number two, picking too many platforms. So trying to focus on like 10 different social media platforms and really trying to scale on every single platform out there. So what you want to do instead is to pick 2 to 3 platforms that you want to focus on depending on your niche. So if your niche is to get, business owners, or you want to attract doctors, you want to attract lawyers, those types of people who own luxury properties, well, most likely you should probably not put too much focus on platforms like TikTok. Now, I'm not saying if you have a large social media team, if you have a lot of resources to put in, that you shouldn't use TikTok, but primarily you probably want to get focused first on the easiest ones. And the easiest ones are probably going to be, as an example, LinkedIn, and as an example, Facebook. Or if you're good with videos, or if you have some video experience, of course, then YouTube could be a good channel for you as well. So what you want to do is then to create a mix of, number one, text and picture-based content, and number two, then video content. So the key distinction as well is don't make your marketing look like marketing. So try to make them kind of like the posts you would naturally feel on those platforms. As an example, if you're on YouTube, try to make a video that's going to blend into that platform. Same applies to Facebook. On Facebook, you rarely see graphics or statistics from your friends, right? So you want to take that into account and make your posts native to each platform that you post on. Lastly, use psychology, leverage psychology. Play to the cognitive biases of the human mind to create that perception of you as the top tier expert real estate agent. These are things like social proof, mere exposure effect, association bias, so on and so forth. Now, we could talk about this topic for hours when it comes down to applying the psychological biases and applying the psychology to attract homeowners and to list their house with you. But what I've already done is to create those 4 content types for you where these psychological biases are actually already built in. So if you'd like to get that checklist, just comment Parasocial under this video, and again, we'll send that over for you for free. So again, Parasocial, and we'll send that over for you for free. So now you know the main psychological levers and really the strategies when it comes down to scaling beyond your sphere of influence, and also obviously leveraging these parasocial relationships in your online marketing. Next, let's cover different mistakes you can make when it comes down to applying this strategy. Number one is really distorted knowledge. So of course, real estate industry is full of companies that provide done-for-you, ready-made content and copy-paste on social media. These can be branded articles, quote posts, market statistics, and so on and so forth. Oftentimes, these are very transactional, kind of like call me now type of a posts. And this is kind of like mentality learned from the industry culture. So like we discussed before, you want to avoid this and do it the opposite way. So number two is lack of clarity and skills for what what to post on social media. So like we discussed earlier, unfortunately, most real estate agents don't have the confidence in knowing what to say, how to say it, where to say it, and actually where to say it to, number one, reach enough and a lot of homeowners in their local markets, and number two, communicate the right things in the right way. And lastly, there's called the hungry ghost phenomenon. So unfortunately, most real estate agents might have these haunted fears of being criticized, being judged, or maybe even being insulted if they put themselves out there on social media. Now, this is a completely natural, normal feeling to have. So it's kind of like if you're trying to drive a car. Imagine trying to learn how to drive a car without having an instructor there guiding you. At the end of the day, again, you're gonna have those fears of crashing the car or driving the car the wrong way or even breaking the car, right? It's a very, very similar thing when it comes down to social media. You can solve this by having the right guidance, right systems, right processes for your content creation, for your online marketing, and again, getting that big, large-scale picture for what you're doing right now will be affecting those things coming down to the future. And that's exactly what's going to cause that confidence and consistency to be apparent in your online marketing and in your day-to-day life as a real estate agent. So like we discussed earlier, the way you overcome these different things, different fears, maybe different frustrations or lack of results is again by having those right systems, right guidance, right content types in your marketing. And so again, if you'd like to get that free document I've created for you, just comment Parasocial under this video. Again, we'll send that over for you for free without any kind of docs buried or anything like that, right? So it's 100% free. Just comment Parasocial under this video. We'll send that over for you for free. So hopefully you found this video extremely valuable and useful for your business and maybe even for your personal life. Now, if there's one key takeaway around this video, is the fact that marketing, it's not about the surface level things. It's not about the CRM. It's not about the landing page. It is not about those graphical images or statistics or any of those types of things. Ultimately, it comes down to the psychology. How can we influence the homeowner's behavior and decisions they're actually making at the end of the day? And to do that, we need to build those parasocial relationships like we discussed earlier. Again, like we discussed, those are the key moving pieces that are going to cause the homeowner to select you as a real estate agent as instead of anybody else. So hopefully that made sense. I'll see you in the next video.